Good day to you. This is Professor Dr. S. Ramamani, Professor in Mechanical Engineering at Madanapalli Institute of Technology and Science, Madanapalli, State of Andhra Pradesh. I am supported by Dr. Muralidharan Singh, the Senior Assistant Professor, for helping me to record this video in one of the smart classrooms available in the campus. In the previous video, we have seen the scheduling process using the priority rules. To recap, let us see what is the scheduling. Scheduling is nothing but starting point and ending point. Within these two, some activity takes place. We have to schedule one particular process at particular time and getting extended and ends with another time having some unit of time. Same thing, go to airport, you want to take some flight. They will say the flight is scheduled at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. whatever being the time for the scheduling process. That is the scheduling. The scheduling process most important in an industry where more number of machines are available. Then we have to load the more number and try to maximize the resources available at the minimum possible time. So one of the methods used in a sequencing process is by Johnson's rule. So those who are studying production planning and control or want to use this technique in industries, when you go there, probably the Johnson's rule may be handy for you to use it and do scheduling according to the requirement. Let us get into scheduling. So the Johnson's rule can be used for more number of machines and more number of jobs to be sequenced. One of the method I already told you, Johnson's rule. Today we are going to discuss two work center sequencing. That is, so we are going to use two work center sequencing. There are 2 or 3 or 4 work centers, but number of to be sequenced is more. Probably for the first instance, we will try to solve the problem using 2 work center sequencing. Method adopted here I already told you, Johnson's rule. Technique for minimizing completion time for a group of jobs to be processed on 2 machines or at 2 work centers. The purpose of the Johnson's rule is to reduce minimize total idle time of the process. If the idle time is more, then utilization or efficiency of that work center is getting decreased. So any machining or any process, you must reduce the idle time of either the machine or the work center. Several conditions must be satisfied, and under ideal conditions, this Johnson's rule method to be adopted. Okay. Under certain ideal conditions or assumptions, the Johnson's rule method to be used. Let us see the conditions one after the other. Job time must be known and constant. At least 95-98% of the time must be known, and that is constant throughout the processing. Job time must be independent of sequence. Job must follow same 2-step sequence. So for more number of machine 3 or 4, but we have to bring down to 2 machines, and that must be used. Job priority cannot be used. All unit must be completed at the first work center before moving to second work center. That is, one center is given that all the job must be completed in work center. Then the next job can be taken to next work center. We are going to discuss sequencing n jobs on 2 machines by Johnson's rule. Works with 2 or more jobs that pass through the same 2 machines or work centers. Minimize total production time and idle time. That is a objective of Johnson's rule. 1. Johnson's rule 1. List all jobs and times for each work center. Choose the job with the shortest activity time. If that time is in the first work center, schedule the job first. If it is the second work center, schedule the job last. Once the job is scheduled, it is eliminated from the list. Repeat steps 2 and 3, working towards the center of the sequence. Okay, this is a problem available. We are going to solve this problem by Johnson's rule. The definition is: choose the job with the shortest activity time. If that time is the first work center, schedule the job first. If it is in the second work center, schedule the job last. See the problem here. We have 5 jobs A, B, C, D and E to be go through work center 1, work center 2. So work center is a drill press and second work center is lathe. Each job processing time, already told you, must be known and constant throughout the processing. Work center A, job A required 5 units of time in work center 1 and 2 units of time work center 2. Job B, work center 1 requires 3 units and job work center 2 requires 6 units and so on. Right. Look at the column 2, work center 1 and work center 2. Going to the work center 1 and going to work center 2, find out which work center is having lowest processing time. Work center 5, 3, 8, 10, 7. Work center 2, 2, 6, 4, 7. The job cannot go to work center unless the job A finishes. This is the one of the rules to be adopted by Johnson. Okay. Now, how to assign it? Take the job A, work center 1, 5 units of time, work center 2, 2 units of time. What do you have to do? Schedule the job last. The lowest number on the second work center, schedule it last. So, I have here small tabular column. 2 is the minimum time in work center 2. I scheduled or sequencing at the last. A, work center 2, this has been scheduled at the work center at the last the row. Well, this has been done. Okay. Go to the work center, job B and work center 1 and 6. If you look at this, work center 1 is only 3 units of time, whereas job at work center 2 requires 6. So we are going to schedule it in the first. So B job is scheduled at the first. Right. Now this has been sequenced. So job B is sequenced. Go to the job C. Go through the column 1 and column 2. Work center 2 is 4 for the job C. Schedule it at the last. Okay. Now we have sequenced job C. Job D, again work center 2, we have got 7 units of time compared to work center 1. We schedule at the last, D. So this has been sequenced. D. For job D, repeat, work center 1 requires 10 units and work center 2 requires 7 units. So yes, we will schedule at the last. So we will sequence job number, job D at last. Job E. The scheduled time of work center is 7 and work center 2, 12 unit of time required. We are going to schedule after job B. Now the sequencing is B, E, D, C and E. So I repeat, work center 1 and work center 2, if the work center 1 having lowest unit of time for processing, that must be given priority. If the work center 2 for the same job is going to be the lowest unit of time, that must be given the last. A, work center 2 is lowest, I have given as a sequence here. Job B, processing time is 3, given here. Job C, given at the last. Job D, after C, and job E, after B. So now we have sequence B, E, D, C and A. So we are not going to, this is something about the Gantt chart, we are not going to discuss. We will discuss work center 1 and work center 2. The sequencing is B, E, D, C and A. Work center 1, B 3 unit of time, E 7 unit of time, D 10 unit of time, C 8 and A 5. This is the processing time for work center 1. At what time job enters into the work center? At 0 time. Job B enter into the work center 1 at 0 time. So what's the processing time? 3. So it takes from 0, it takes 3 unit of time to process it. So time in and time out. We have made a tabular column like job, work center, time in, time out, idle time. For the work center 1 as well as for the work center 2. Take the job E. What is the processing time required? 7 unit of time. But when this can start? Once after completing job E or at the third or at the end of third unit of time. So 7, 3 plus 7, 10 unit of time, the job is going to out. The job is going to work center 2. Job D, when it can start? Only after completion of job E, 10th unit of time. So 10 plus 10, 20th unit of time. It's enter at 10 unit of time and exit at 20th unit of time. So waiting time of all A, E, B and D is 0. Take the job C. When this can start? 1 hour after 20th unit of time. So 20 plus 8, 28 unit of time. There is no delay. There is no idle time of the machine. Job A. Job A, when it can start? Work center 1 after 28 unit of time. So 28 plus 5, 33 unit of time. So the total processing in work center is equal to 33. Some mistake is there. It is going to be 33. So as for the total processing for in the work center 1 for all the B, E, D, C, A job is 33 unit of time. But now we are going most towards the work center 2. Work center sequence is also like work center 1. There is no change in the sequence of the sequence in the work center 2. So what is the work center? Processing time is 6. So you can start this after work is completed. So processing time is 3, processing time is 6. The job B can go to work center 2 after third unit of time. So 3 plus 6, 9. The job B can leave the work center only at 9th unit of time. So what is the idle time of this? 3, because the machine is idle for want of job from machine center 1. So idle time is 3. Job E is get completed and go to the work center 2. When it can start, once this is completed, this can start. The processing time is for B is fine. So once job B is finished in work center 1, it go to work center. Job B is getting finished at 10th unit of time, whereas the work center 2 is waiting for the job from work center 1. So what is the processing time? We see that this is going to be out at 9th unit of time, whereas the job will enter only at the 10th unit of time. So what is the waiting time? The machine finishes by 9th unit of time, but work center 2 sends a job at 10th unit of time. So waiting time is 1. What is the processing time for job E? 12. So 10 plus 12, 22 unit time. That means job enters at 10, 12 processing time. The 10 plus 12, 22 unit of time. The waiting time or idle time is 1. Then job D. Job D is enters at 20th unit of time, whereas the job machine is already ready to take the job, but it enters only at 20th unit of time. Okay, now we already finished E. Now if we see work center, job D takes 20 unit of time. Once this is finished, we can go to job center 2. We see here, E takes 22 unit of time, but job enters to work center 2 at 20th unit of time. So there is no waiting for the machine in work center. But this can start only after 22 unit of time. So 22 unit of time plus 7, 29 unit of time, and the idle time of job D is no. Okay, so idle time of work center is 0. Job C can enter into job center 2 after 28 unit of time, whereas machine is getting engaged to do the job D up to 29 unit of time. So it enters at 28 unit of time. The machine can take up only after 29 unit of time. So 29 plus 4, 33 unit of time. So waiting time of that machine is 0. Waiting time for the job to come to work center. Job A can complete only after 33 unit of time. It enters the work center 2 at 33, whereas the machine is also readily waiting for job from work center 1. 33 plus 2, 35 unit of time, whereas the waiting time is 0. The total processing time of work center 1 and work center 2 is 35 unit of time. That means within 35 unit of time, the work center and work center 2 can finish the job as per B, E, D, C, E. If you look at this, work center 1, no idle time of the machine. If you work center 2, we have 4 unit of time. So the total elapsed time or the job spent in work center 1 and work center 2 together is 35 unit, whereas idle time of mostly on work center 2 is only 4 unit of time. This is how the Johnson's method to be adopted. We have got another job A, B, C, D, E, but you have 3 machines, machine 1, machine 2 and machine 3. So how to process it, how to go about it? Bring the machine 1, machine 2, machine 3 as 2 machines and n number of jobs. Bring the machine 1, machine 2 and machine 3 as 2 machines process with n number of jobs. Accordingly, I have combined machine 1 and machine 2 together as A and machine 2 and machine 3 as B. P. You can call it by X, Y, something like that. Okay, now 6 plus 8, 14, 8 plus 5, 13, 11 plus 6, 17, 6 plus 8, 14, 7 plus 3, 10, 3 plus 4, 7, 9 plus 7, 16, 7 plus 3, 10, 5 plus 10, 15, 10 plus 6, 16. Fine. Now, we brought down any number of machine as 2 machines, we can do for n number of jobs. We will have a machine 3, combine machine 1, machine 2, machine 3 as one machine, 2, 3 and 4 as another machine. So it becomes 4 machines become 2 machines, n number of jobs. Right? Okay. So you can always go through it, and this is the sequence finally make it. The job, see here, the job machine 2 is lowest number given at the last, and job B again lowest number machine assigned after A, job C again given here, job D again here, and job E come here. So this is a sequence you have to follow to process it. Now the tabular column, to find out the total elapsed time, you must have 3 columns. Same ABCD job, machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, middle time in, time out, time in, time out, idle time. So probably you can be able to solve this problem. Now you have another 2 machines, ABCD, process 1, process 2, probably okay, process 1, process 2, this is sequence. Sequence is A, E, okay, this is sequence on which you have to assign the process to the machine 1 and machine 2. Again the tabular column, job A, machine 1, machine 2, time in, time out, idle time of machine 1, machine 2, 3. You can be able to get the total processing time, total elapsed time for both machine and process 1 and process 2, or machine 1 and machine 2, and then idle time of whatever be the process. Okay. So this is the best method of sequencing it using the Johnson's rule method. Thank you for watching. I must thank the management for giving permission to record this video in one of the smart classrooms available in the campus. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Probably we'll see after some time with new round of videos.